A man murders the person he loves and later suicide himself. When an individual exhibits violent behavior or has difficulty controlling their anger, it may indicate a condition known as Intermittent Explosive Disorder, IED. What is Intermittent Explosive Disorder? Intermittent Explosive Disorder, or IED, is a psychiatric condition characterized by recurrent, sudden episodes of impulsive, aggressive, or violent behavior and intense verbal outbursts that are grossly disproportionate to the situation. Individuals with IED often exhibit an inability to regulate their emotions, resulting in destructive actions toward others or property, such as breaking objects, e.g., phones, chairs, and in some cases, physical aggression toward intimate partners, or self-directed harm, including suicidal behavior. The etiology of IED is multifactorial, but three primary contributing factors have been identified: neurobiological abnormalities, psychosocial influences, and genetic predispositions. Before we journey any further into this vital discussion, if you found even a spark of value in what you've heard so far, pause for just a moment. Smash that like button, and if your heart tells you we've earned it, go ahead and subscribe. Your simple click breathes life into this small, passionate healthcare channel. It's your support that fuels our mission, that keeps us delivering insights that just might change someone's day, or even their life. Intermittent Explosive Disorder, or IED, is a complex psychiatric condition that has garnered increasing attention in both clinical and research contexts due to its debilitating effects on individuals and their social environments. The etiology of IED is not attributed to a single cause, but is instead recognized as multifactorial, involving an interplay of various biological, psychological, and environmental elements. Among the numerous contributing components, three primary domains have been consistently identified in the literature as significant: neurobiological abnormalities, psychosocial influences, and genetic predispositions. Each of these dimensions plays a critical role in shaping the behavioral, emotional, and cognitive manifestations observed in individuals with IED, and understanding them is essential for developing effective diagnostic, therapeutic, and preventative strategies. Neurobiological abnormalities represent a major contributing factor to the onset and maintenance of IED. Research utilizing neuroimaging techniques such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and positron emission tomography, PET, scans, has provided insights into the structural and functional differences in the brains of individuals diagnosed with IED. One of the most prominent findings is the hyperactivity of the amygdala, a brain region associated with processing emotions such as fear and anger. When the amygdala is overactive, individuals may experience exaggerated emotional reactions to minor provocations, leading to explosive outbursts. Moreover, the prefrontal cortex, particularly the orbitofrontal and ventromedial regions, which are responsible for impulse control, decision-making, and emotional regulation, often show hypoactivity in individuals with IED. This impaired regulation creates a neurological imbalance, where emotional impulses driven by the amygdala are not adequately inhibited or moderated by higher cognitive control centers. Additionally, abnormalities in neurotransmitter systems, particularly those involving serotonin, have been implicated in the pathophysiology of IED. Low levels of serotonin, a neurotransmitter associated with mood regulation and aggression inhibition, have been consistently linked to impulsive and aggressive behavior. Pharmacological studies support these findings, demonstrating that selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, which increase serotonin availability, can be effective in reducing the frequency and intensity of explosive episodes in affected individuals. In addition to neurobiological underpinnings, psychosocial influences significantly contribute to the development and expression of IED. Environmental factors such as early childhood trauma, exposure to domestic violence, inconsistent or harsh parenting, and chronic stress have all been associated with heightened risks for developing the disorder. Children raised in chaotic or abusive households often learn maladaptive coping mechanisms and may internalize aggression as a normative response to conflict or frustration. Furthermore, early exposure to violence may desensitize individuals to aggressive behavior, making them more likely to replicate such behaviors in their own interactions. The social learning theory, pioneered by psychologist Albert Bandura, supports this notion by suggesting that individuals learn behaviors through the observation and imitation of others, particularly authority figures or role models. Moreover, a lack of emotional support, inadequate social skills, and limited access to mental health resources can exacerbate the condition. Individuals with IED often report feelings of isolation, social rejection, or difficulty maintaining interpersonal relationships, all of which can further fuel their impulsive and aggressive tendencies. Additionally, socioeconomic stressors such as poverty, unemployment, and educational disadvantage may compound these challenges, creating an environment where emotional regulation is increasingly difficult to maintain. The role of comorbid psychological conditions should also be noted, as many individuals with IED also suffer from anxiety disorders, depression, substance use disorders, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, all of which can complicate the clinical picture and contribute to the disorder's severity. Genetic predispositions represent the third major component of IED's etiology. Family and twin studies have suggested a heritable component to impulsive aggression, with evidence indicating that first-degree relatives of individuals with IED are more likely to exhibit similar behavioral patterns. Genetic research has identified several candidate genes that may be associated with increased risk for IED, particularly those involved in the regulation of serotonin and dopamine pathways. For example, polymorphisms in the serotonin transporter gene, 5-HTTLPR, and the monoamine oxidase A, MAOA, gene have been implicated in impulsive and aggressive behaviors. The MAOA gene, often referred to in popular media as the warrior gene, plays a role in the breakdown of neurotransmitters such as serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. Certain variants of this gene are associated with lower enzymatic activity, which can lead to higher levels of these neurotransmitters in the brain and potentially contribute to heightened emotional reactivity and aggression. However, it is essential to emphasize that genetic predispositions do not operate in isolation. Rather, they interact with environmental and developmental factors in complex ways. This concept is encapsulated in the diathesis stress model, which posits that individuals with a genetic vulnerability, diathesis, are more likely to develop psychological disorders when exposed to significant environmental stressors. In the case of IED, someone with a genetic predisposition may never develop the disorder unless they encounter specific triggering experiences or adverse environmental conditions. Epigenetic research further complicates the picture by demonstrating that environmental factors can influence gene expression, potentially activating or silencing genes involved in emotional regulation and aggression, depending on life experiences. If you or someone you know is experiencing symptoms similar to those described above, it is crucial to seek help from a qualified medical professional. A specialist can offer proper evaluation. This might involve counseling, therapy, or prescribed medication to help regulate emotions and prevent the situation from escalating. Unchecked emotional distress can lead to serious consequences, including harm to oneself or to loved ones. For women in particular, it's important to be observant of those closest to you, especially your partner. If you notice signs of erratic, aggressive, or emotionally unstable behavior, do not dismiss them. Living with someone who displays such traits may not seem alarming at first, but over time, you could become a victim, whether through verbal abuse, emotional manipulation, or even physical violence. These issues may begin subtly, sharp words, broken objects, mood swings, but they can grow into something far more destructive. And if you marry someone with violent tendencies, the impact doesn't stop with you. The trauma extends to your children who witness and internalize this behavior. These impressions shape them, sometimes turning the cycle of violence into a legacy passed down to the next generation. Protect yourself, protect your future, and protect those who look up to you. In the tragic story of a man who murdered the one he loved before taking his own life, we see the devastating consequences of untreated emotional instability and unresolved psychological disorders, particularly conditions like Intermittent Explosive Disorder, IED. This heartbreaking outcome is not just an isolated event, but a sobering reminder of how unchecked rage, impulsivity, and emotional dysregulation can spiral into irreversible destruction. IED is not simply about having a temper. It is a serious psychiatric condition rooted in a complex interplay of brain chemistry, life experiences, and genetic makeup. It affects not only the individual, but also the people closest to them: partners, children, families, communities. Its manifestations can begin subtly, but the consequences, if ignored, can be catastrophic. If this message resonated with you, please like and subscribe, not just to support this channel, but to join a growing community that believes in healing, in mental wellness, and in protecting the lives that matter most. Yours and those you love. Stay safe, stay informed, stay empowered.